Hi, guys. Welcome to my podcast, Hot Mess Hate, where we do real talk about real things. I bet you're wondering who in the world I am and why on God's green earth I think people might want to listen. So I figured my first podcast would just be a quick intro. I am just an average Josephine who lives about an hour outside of the city that I work in. It's a long drive, but I don't mind it. I much prefer living in a place where I have lots of trees, and I also don't have neighbors that live super, super close. Don't get me wrong, I love my neighbors, but I really also love my personal space. My two favorite places at home are my office, which is my office where I can just sit and shut the door and be quiet and put myself back together after crazy days, because we all have those sometimes. And my other favorite place is the fire pit, which is outside. My husband put it together last year. And you can just sit around the fire, and there are trees, and it's just a really, really great space. So I've been married actually to my project loving husband for about 20 years. Lots of ups and downs there. I think sometimes both my husband and I weren't actually sure we were going to make it, but hey, we're here. My oldest son the other day informed me that I had been married for nearly half my life, and I theoretically knew that, I guess, but being told was super shocking. Like, holy cow. Love my husband, and it has been nearly half my life. We should hit that milestone at some point this year if we make it. I think we will. Anyway, so my oldest son is about 21, almost. He'll be in a few months 21, so that's a milestone year, right? That's going to be interesting. And my other child is also a young man. He'll be turning 18 this year, so I get a little teary-eyed thinking about it sometimes, but I guess here pretty soon I'm going to be an empty nester. Maybe I'm a little older than I feel like I should be. I don't know. But we won't be a complete empty nester family if they ever leave us. I am also the proud mom of one Great Pyrenees. We did have two. One of them passed away somewhat recently unexpectedly of cancer, which was super sad, and I still get a little teary-eyed over it. The other one is actually older than the one we just lost, so that's a little bit concerning. Any of you who are listening who have Great Pyrenees know that they like to bark at passing dust bunnies and sky creatures and butterflies and things that are thinking about fluttering by, just in case, to scare them off. So they're very loud and keep us on our toes. So if you hear barking here in a little bit, because I feel like she always barks when I'm doing audio somewhere, because that's a thing she does. Anyway, I am also the proud mother of three, I say mother, owner, owned by, I don't know, of three cats. On top of that, I am also owned by 11 chickens. Um, they are fantastic and will probably be the subject of a podcast at some point because they have lots of personality. They all do. I know. Totally sounds riveting. A podcast about chickens, but I assure you, you'll laugh. I am also a cyclist, the kind that has more than one bike, and has clippy shoes and a bike computer and a Strava handle because if it isn't on Strava, it didn't happen. And I say clippy shoes, they're actually called clipless, which cracks me up because anybody with these shoes knows that you actually clip into your bike. So you're physically attached to your bike. So there's probably going to be a podcast at some point about the interesting life of a cyclist trying to share the road with angry drivers. Or not. So far I've not been run off the road, but some of my fellow cyclists have. I'm sure my day is coming. Luckily, I'm fairly fatalistic. I figure if it's my time to go, it's not going to matter if I am attached to a bike riding down the road with cars or sitting at my home. Like I could totally right now, as I'm recording this, get, have some sky debris fall through my ceiling and kill me. So when it's my time, I'll miss you guys. Drink a beer or something in honor of me, but make sure you laugh. Anyway, I used to be a distance runner actually, but I injured myself and I stopped running. And earlier last year, actually, it's been almost a year now, I got that fixed and started trying to run again. Any runner out there listening to me, please, please help me figure out why I used to love running so much. I just cannot seem to find my running mojo anymore. I'm starting to think maybe I need to sign up for a couple of races, maybe to give me a goal. But I have my bike. So I don't necessarily need, I don't know, I don't need to run. I can go for a bike ride, right? Right. So what else? I need coffee to start my day. That is elixir of gods, the elixir of life. Coffee is king. I'm probably addicted, but let's face it, caffeine headaches are the worst. I have an undergraduate degree in psychology because I find the human condition to be super, super interesting. Unfortunately, the classes for a psychology degree were not super interesting. So I have an undergrad in psychology. I felt like the whole time I was taking those classes, I literally was taking the same class over and over with a different stated end goal. And I found that very, very frustrating. So I did not pursue higher education with psychology. What I ended up doing was getting a graduate degree in criminal justice, which I also think is very, very interesting. And while I was taking those classes, I took a couple of criminal law classes to get that degree. Someday, if I don't have to work, I may actually go and become a lawyer because criminal law is super interesting. Anyway, since I am so interested in the human condition, I will probably include lots of psychobabble and mental well being thoughts while I'm talking. So, why am I doing a podcast? So, for my day job, every once in a while I create videos and I do voiceovers for those videos. And I've been told by a couple of people that I should do podcasts, which I'm not young. I don't know what a podcast is. I do now. So I was talking about that with my kids, and they shared some podcasts with me, which I thought was really interesting. It sounded interesting. It seemed interesting. So I figured I'd give it a shot. So here I am. I actually have a whole series of episodes planned, from this intro to discussion about commuting and the parkour that occurs on my commute and the frustration and the fact that it's a good thing that I don't drive a tank. I was talking with my kids. They're both Eagle Scouts, so they wanted to potentially co host a podcast with me where we talked about their adventures in scouting. I already talked a little bit about the pets that I'm sure I will do a podcast about at some point. So I'll probably just use this podcast to talk about real things and share some opinions and other salty thoughts with you guys. That is, if I actually follow through and do a routine podcast. Because let's get real. Who has time for that?